So what happened really was just before COVID, my daughter, who must have been about 8, 7, got diagnosed with a metabolic bone disease. And I came across things like bone therapy that I didn't know anything about, myofascial release. And then I started to think, right, okay, well, in part of understanding what's going on with her, and actually what happened on that track was she got diagnosed with hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a connective tissue disorder that then I got diagnosed with as well at the same time. So we had that kind of learning curve. And so that took us on a kind of path with her health. But also simultaneously, I'm thinking, well, is there anything that I can do? You know, if I'm able, is there a kind of manual therapy or a movement therapy that might help her? And so I started to cast around and look.
You know, even I'm aching after doing 3 or 4 clients in a day, you know, having 60 or 90-minute sessions and you know, I'm technically, I think, fit and healthy, you know, 35 years old. I shouldn't be complaining after 4 hours of massage, but you know, I'm like feeling like an old man, so I don't know how you do it.
We can it's the start of a conversation about using massage to help people with these connective tissue disorders.
Right, everyone, welcome to episode 25 of the Massage and Physical Therapist Talk Show. We're still trucking on, the sessions are coming thick and fast, and once again, I always say this, but we've got a fantastic guest with us today. I actually spoke to this guest, Jess, on Instagram a while ago, actually, and you messaged with some really kind words about the podcast, and then it was really interesting to see what you do. So for anyone listening, welcoming Jess Janneman from EDS Therapist. Oh, and my headphones just fell out as I said that. That just shows how excited I am, Jess, to have you on the podcast today. How's it going?
Yeah, good, thanks. Really good. And I'm really excited to be here. I've listened, as you've spotted, I've listened to the podcast for a really long time. And I think podcasts have a huge and important thing to play in all of our development. So I'm really excited to be here.
Well, it's nice to know people actually listen as well, which is always, as I know they do, but you know, it's nice to have that validated now and again, and actually go, oh, people actually listen to, you know, all these people that we're getting on and chatting with, and it's always a nice mix of, and it just kind of shows in this world that we work in is like it's such a cool mix of people and humans, just like from all different backgrounds and all different, you know, doing it for all different reasons. And obviously that's why I'm really looking forward to our conversation today. So just to get us on with this, we're looking today at the reality of being a therapist. So being a carer, a caregiver, a parent. And I know, Jess, you've got a lot to talk about with this today. So let's just rewind and let everyone get to know you. Okay, so a bit about you, your background, how you got into this. So yeah.
Great. So I live in Birmingham, where I have my business Ease, which is a garden room at the bottom of my garden. And really, I came to massage therapy about 6 years ago. I trained initially as an actor and acted for years. And in fact, lots of the things to do with acting, I thought it was a completely different world. And it really isn't. It's all people, breath, bodies, voices, empathy, touch. So there's huge similarities that I've found as I've gone along. And I had my daughter's 16. So when I had my daughter, I stopped acting for a while because I didn't want to be doing the traveling and I wanted to be at home. And I went back to university at that point to do a master's in drama, and I stayed on and I began teaching at the university. So I was an academic for a bit. And I never really settled. I was never certain what it was I wanted to do particularly. And then a kind of bizarre twist of events happened. And I think my whole career is a bit like that, really. And where I am now, I feel, has been a bizarre twist of events that have all come together in some ways. And my dad had died, and lots of people bought me vouchers for massages, which was lovely. And I don't think I'd ever had a massage before. And a friend of mine has a really beautiful skincare business around the corner from where I live. And she has a treatment room in the back of her business. And I was having a really rubbish day, and somebody had bought me a voucher for a massage there. And I rang up and I said, well, can you get me in? Can I come and have a massage? And she said, I'm really sorry, Jess, but I've got nobody to do the treatments. I don't suppose you want to train, do you? As a bit of a joke. And I paused just long enough for her to think. And she said, well, look, let's go for a coffee tomorrow. So I went and met her for a coffee the next day, and she'd found out about a course that was starting the next week. And I don't know, there was just a bit of me that thought, well, why not? You know, I was at a real crossroads in my life where I didn't want to be an academic, but I was I was starting along that path. I wasn't certain where I wanted to be. And I went home and I said to my husband, what do you think? And he said, just do it, Jess, just do it and see. And I remember really clearly turning up for this course, and it dawned on me I would have to put my hands on somebody. And I was stupid. I just hadn't thought about the reality of it. Thankfully, anyway, I loved it. And then I started working for her and started doing treatments, spa treatments, which I think are absolutely integral to my practice now. And I work kind of clinically, but I think learning the power of relaxation and touch and safe space and all of that have been hugely important. And I think often we play them down, which is a real shame.
Did you find that obviously jumping straight into the spa environment, was it quite full on? Because obviously from my experience, I know what, like, when you work for yourself, as in, you're in control of who's booking in, you can kind of put yourself gaps in, and you can kind of be like, oh, I'll just do the 2 today, or I'll just do 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah,
obviously
yeah.
working in a spa, it's different, because you turn up and you've got whatever they've booked in for you, and it could be a full day, and it can be quite full on. And I know obviously spas have big overheads and stuff, so obviously they need to
Yeah.
make sure that they get enough people through the door. Was
Yeah.
that good in a way, because it just like it almost just give you that kick up the bum to just get on with it, rather
Well,
than
yeah. I was really lucky because Katie, my friend, her business was called Honest Skincare. It's now called Harvest Skincare. But it was an independent business, and she'd worked in spas in that fast-paced environment, and she'd learnt that that's not what she wanted for her treatments and for her clients. So yes, absolutely, I was turning up and I'd got a whole day booked in for me. But I had gaps, and she's always looked after us. Because she understands that if she didn't look after us, then that would impact on the treatments for the clients, I think.
yeah, and then and then if you're not available to work, it's back to square one again, isn't it? With them not having someone
Exactly.
to do the job, which is
Yeah.
brilliant that they
Yeah.
think about you, because you do hear some horror stories from some spas, where it's mainly like the big chains in the hotels and stuff,
Yeah.
where they've got poor therapists working there have got literally back-to-back 12-hour days.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
lot, isn't it, from a
It is a
physical point of
lot.
view and mentally, because
Yeah.
you're taking on everyone's baggage when you do these sessions as well. Everyone's feels confident talking to you and telling you, how bad the day might have been, or what's going on, and it is hard sometimes not to get, feel that weight on your shoulders.
Absolutely. But I think, the thing that was brilliant was because I had fully booked days, I got hands-on bodies, and I think it's a bit like learning to drive
Yeah.
in a way. You go and do the training, but actually what you need to do is put that into practice
And
and
just drive, yeah, just get
yeah,
on the motorway, get
and see what
going,
happens.
just
Yeah,
yeah.
and figure it out. And I think that's what it did for me. Whereas if I'd been setting up on my own at that point, I'd be, one person a day, or if I was lucky, probably. And I wouldn't have got that number of bodies under my hands,
Yeah.
really. So I
And
think that's huge.
was it pretty much full time then? You jumped it straight into this full time, give
Well,
or take?
yeah, but then COVID hit.
Ah,
So it was a funny thing. And I was thinking about this earlier, actually. It was funny because I'd done maybe 2 months there, and then we went into the first lockdown. And so when we came out of lockdown, it was still a really new business profession to me. And what lockdown gave me was that time to try and understand things a bit more. So that's when I hit all the podcasts and did a lot of reading and watching things. And my husband bought me a couch to have at home, so everybody in the bubble got to have a massage, but nobody else, obviously. But
Very
then
wise move from your husband,
well, yes.
that. What a
But
great idea.
yeah, I mean, he doesn't get massage now. But
It's
then
funny that my wife's the same, actually. Everyone says, oh, it must be great. You just get like massage, reflexology all the time. I'm like, not a chance.
no, no,
I'm
you can have a voucher to go somewhere else. But then, of course, what happened was I went back to work and everybody was looking for that touch. So again, I got an amazing training in the importance of touch
Yeah.
and contact. And I think, that was hugely valuable to me.
When COVID hit, did you think was part of you thinking, oh, what have I done here? Doing this
Yeah,
big career change, But then I think maybe with the acting side of things, I mean, again, that's another face-to-face profession. A lot of it
yeah,
isn't it? So
yeah.
I guess
And
you'd probably be thinking, well, that would have probably been on pause as well.
yeah. And frankly, like, I don't think, some people leave school, know what they want to do, and do that for the rest of their lives. I was never that person. I was lucky. I did well at school. I could have done whatever I wanted to do, really. But I was never a 9 to 5. I'll start that when I'm 21 and I'll keep going until I'm 65 kind of person.
Yeah.
I've always freelanced, and that's how I work.
Yeah, I think well, I think that's why we all do it. Is that freedom, that sort of it's your thing. It's exciting. There's the highs, there's the lows. You don't know. Every day is different.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
you know, this at this point, there's a lot of people struggling at the minute, getting clients through the door financially. Cost of
mm.
living's going up, and so
Yeah,
on. But ultimately, I think this is something that people will always want and need.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, definitely.
so right, so we've started off with doing acting, okay? And then you've called up to book yourself in for a massage treatment, and you've ended up working there. Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much. Not
yeah,
within the next day, but yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Then COVID hits.
yeah.
So what happens after COVID? Hey folks, we want to give you a free premium 100% cotton couch cover for your treatment table, and it's worth £24, and we're going to give this to one lucky viewer. All you need to do is like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below. Have you learned something from this episode, or have you any thoughts or insights from our discussions? We'd love to hear your thoughts and your key takeaways, and so please do share them in the comments. We'll randomly pick just one comment and get in touch with the winner to send you the premium couch cover, and it's that easy. So get liking, get subscribing, and get commenting. Good luck, and thanks for listening.
So what happened really was just before COVID, my daughter, who must have been about 8, 7, got diagnosed with a metabolic bone disease, and it didn't seem to affect her very much at that point. But then when COVID hit, we obviously all moved very differently, and she was really active. She was a circus performer, and her body reacted quite strangely, it seemed. And she got a lot of pain. There started to be subluxations, dislocations in her joints. And we were really puzzled by it and desperately, obviously, trying to work out what was happening. And so that took us on a kind of path with her health. But also simultaneously, I'm thinking, well, is there anything that I can do? If I'm able, is there a kind of manual therapy or a movement therapy that might help her? And so I started to cast around and look. And I came across things like bone therapy that I didn't know anything about, myofascial release. And then I started to think, right, okay, well, in part of understanding what's going on with her, and actually what happened on that track was she got diagnosed with hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a connective tissue disorder that then I got diagnosed with as well at the same time. So we had that kind of learning curve.
So did you have that? Have you had that from? Did you just not know you had that, or
No, I
is that
didn't know I
something
had
that
it.
you'd only just developed, or
No,
how does that work? 'Cause
no. So they're connective tissue disorders that you're born with.
So you've had that all your life and just
All my life,
not
didn't have
know?
a clue. No.
Wow.
So, but I have loads of symptoms that I now look back on and I think, well, that's what that was.
Yeah, yeah. Where you just put it down to feeling a bit off today, or you know,
Exactly. And, you know, things like when I was in my 20s, my retinas came off my eyes. So I went blind
wow.
and nobody knew why that had happened. Well, now we know. I mean, your retinas are connective tissue.
Yeah.
So that's what that was. You know, loads of things. I was fainting a lot, weird things with my skin, my digestion, you know, so we know that connective tissue runs through every system of your body. But I just hadn't put the pieces together. And it was only when my daughter was diagnosed, and it was clinical genetics diagnosed her. So they looked at mine and my husband's health histories and the pieces were put together. So that was kind of happening. And then at the same time, I was thinking, well, what can I do? And that's when I started to look for some further training. And I ended up at the Jing Institute in Brighton.
Oh, we've been on with Jing, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I went down to Brighton and I started studying with them, training with them, and they do a course which is called the ACMT, Advanced Clinical Massage Therapy, which is a year-long training. It's really involved. So there's lots of hands-on days, like 4 days. There's loads of coursework and online stuff. And so I did that because I felt I wanted to understand more anatomy and physiology and more detailed work within my hands-on work, really. And then the ACMT is a standalone course, but it is also the first year of a BTEC level 6 in clinical massage. So you have that option to stay on. And that's what I did. So I stayed on and I'm nearing the end of it now. And the end point of the BTEC 6 is a research study, which I'm just about finishing. I've just finished the hands-on stage of it. I've got it all to write up and all the data. And so my study is about hypermobility spectrum disorder and Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So it's kind of brought together the stuff the diagnosis that myself and my daughter received, alongside all this kind of clinical training and skills that I wanted to add into my mix.
So the treatment space that you have in your garden, where you work from,
Yeah.
was that built specifically at a stage when you thought, right, I need to get out of the spa environment now and I need to be doing my own thing? So
Yeah. Yeah. So we built that about 2 years ago, just over 2 years ago. So partway through the ACMT, I thought, right, I need a space where I can start practicing this. And also, it coincided with a patch where we were in and out of hospital a lot. My daughter was at home for stretches of time, and being employed elsewhere full time just was not conducive to being able to look after her. It wasn't fair on the business and actually the business really supported me needing the time out. You know, they couldn't have been nicer because realistically they'd cancel whole days for me and there would be clients who weren't getting their treatments and they
and then
weren't making money
financially
off.
for
Of
them, obviously
course, yeah.
they've got overheads to pay and
Yeah. So you know, the decision to start working from home was complicated, really, because it was about me practicing these skills that I had learned, but it was also about making sure that I was doing the right thing by my friend's business, but also making sure that I was available at home and had that flexibility where if I needed to cancel half a day, they're my clients.
yeah.
You know, it's a different
Yeah,
thing.
it's on you then. It's
Exactly. And, you know, if you're caring for somebody, that level of stress of, is the phone going to go? What am I going to do? How am I going to manage this? Adds a whole other thing into the
yeah,
mix.
of
So
course it does,
removing
yeah.
that was
And hospital
important.
appointments, doctor's appointments, you
Yeah.
know, it'd be sod's law. You've just booked 2 clients in and then you get a letter through the post saying that,
Yeah.
right, your appointment's confirmed for this date at this
That's
time. And then it's
exactly
like,
what happens. Yeah. And I tell you what does happen is then you move that whole day and then you get another appointment on that day of people you've moved and you just think this is not workable, you know.
yeah. Yeah, well, it's a balance, and I was just about to ask how on earth you fit it all in now. Obviously, So you're building your own studio in the in it, you know, in your garden. Were you still trying to work whilst that was being built? Was that, or was did you have a bit of time where you were just like, right, I'm not going to work?
No, I still worked, but I cut my hours down. So I think I went down to 3 days or 4 days maybe in the spa.
Which is
Um,
still what, you know, almost full time in itself
yeah,
anyway, isn't it? You know, for this
yeah,
type of job, you know, if you're doing it
yeah,
for long days.
yeah. Um, and then gradually I made the crossover. And actually, I'm still there. I'm still in my friend's business 1 day a week because I love it, and
Yeah.
I feel it enhances the work. You know, the work I do at home on the whole is chronic pain, loads of people with hypermobility, Ehlers-Danlos, obviously, the occasional bits of injury work, but on the whole, it's people with chronic pain. Um, and so I have 1 day where I walk around the corner, go into my friend's business. I know all the clients because I've had them for years. I work with other people. It smells beautiful. It's somewhere else. Um,
And it's nice, isn't it, mentally to be able to take, you know, detach from your own thing for a day and
yeah,
go into somewhere else where it's not your business. You're just there working for the day, and it's like the press. There's not much. You just can go in and just work,
yeah, it's a
you know.
treat. It's
And
lovely.
it's yeah, it is nice. We did a episode a while back on here about having like a niche and having a, you know, a
Mm,
speciality that you know, and clearly you have,
mm,
and that's from your own personal experiences.
mm,
So, did you think when you were setting up your own practice and moving away from the salon, the spa, that
mm.
was there a worry that you wouldn't have enough clients for that specific
Oh
need?
yeah,
I know
yeah.
obviously it's a really, you know, important need and it's something you go through yourself, so you know that there's a, you know,
Mm.
there's the need there, but how did you like how do you find clients for a specific need, if you like, you know? Do you
I
understand
think,
what I'm saying? I'm
yeah,
trying, yeah,
yeah, I totally do. I think Rachel Fairweather, who is one of the directors at Jing, always says, you know, if you build it, they will come.
yeah.
And I had to hold my nerve, but I really believed that. And so I, I suppose I did a certain amount, like my social media, of talking about the condition, my condition, in amongst everything else. I'm not at the point where, and I don't know whether I ever will be at the point where I will say that's the only thing that I'm treating, because I think actually treating other things teaches me as much about that condition as it does those conditions, you know? So I don't know. But I also, I suppose because it's a condition that I have, I went to the local support groups and I showed up on those face support groups on Facebook and became visible in that way. Um, but also actually doing the research project has really helped that, because I was looking for a demographic that were essentially the people that I want to treat. I had to advertise for that all over the place online, and WhatsApp groups asking people to share it, and physical posters and flyers and things like that. And so I then attracted the group of people who became my study group, but also they've told other people they know. And the thing about symptomatic hypermobility connective tissue disorders are that while the genetics haven't been proven, we know that they're heritable, they run in families. So you get one person and then they've got a sister or a mother
Yeah, you
or
end
a
up with the whole
child.
family. Yeah.
Yeah. And also it is supposed to be rare, but it isn't rare. The hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is not rare. The other Ehlers-Danlos syndromes are, but the hypermobile type is far less rare than they think it is. So once people start talking, then all of a sudden there's a lot of people
Yeah.
about, you know.
And
So
do you find you get people from coming from far and wide as well, you know, from other
I am
areas? Because
now,
I
yeah,
guess it is quite a niche
yeah,
modality that you're offering, you know.
yeah,
And
yeah,
people are probably Googling it.
yeah. And I'm
And
really
you're
surprised.
based
Yeah,
in
I'm in Birmingham.
Birmingham, yeah. So
Yeah,
it's quite a central
yeah,
area of the country, really, you know, whether you
yeah,
know, it's not too far a drive even from me in Manchester to get to Birmingham, you know.
yeah,
So if it was something that I really needed and there was
yeah.
no one in Manchester that did it,
Yeah.
And is it worth, yeah, the hour and a half drive, whatever it is to get to you, sometimes you drive that just getting into the city centre in
Well, yeah,
traffic anyway.
yeah, you do
So
in Birmingham, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But also, I've started to work with some people online, which was not something I ever really planned to do, um, for that exact reason that it was slightly too far, or sometimes people just cannot sit in a car for that length of time. So
yeah,
started to work with people in a different way, and yeah, do some things online or talk to quite a lot of people on social media and things, and work with them in that way. So
yeah.
um yeah, I mean, it is scary because you do think I'm not, well, I mean, it's scary opening your own business anyway, isn't it? Because you think nobody's going to come. Who's going to come? And um you just have to do it, I think.
I think the good thing about it is if because people coming to you for a specific reason, not just because they fancy a massage.
Hmm.
I mean, you might get the odd. Do you get
Yeah, I
the
do.
odd
Yeah,
client that just comes because they just
yeah,
want a massage? Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So it's not a case of going, fill this form out. If you don't tick these boxes, then you're not coming kind of vibe. It's a, you are open to anyone, but you've got your speciality that most of your clients tend to come for.
yeah,
Um, but you know, normally you find it's getting to this time of year, people aren't wanting to leave the house as much. It's getting cold. Everyone's a bit skint because Christmas is coming up, blah, blah,
oh.
blah. Sorry to use the C word there, by the way, but I've started seeing the adverts around already. It's worrying me. So,
Everywhere. Yeah,
um, a great time for gift vouchers, but not always a great time for hands-on sessions. Things start to get a bit quieter. There's a bit of a lull, but I guess in your case, if people need it, they'll keep coming.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I guess it's nice to be able to know that you're helping massively. I mean, we're all helping in what we do, but
yeah.
sometimes when it's for a specific you know, illness that people are coming for, it's brilliant. So, do you find that obviously you suffer with this yourself? Your daughter does. So
Yeah.
does your daughter does this help your daughter massively? The fact that her mum can kind of help aid um, alongside whatever other medication and stuff that's needed to help with this. Is that
I mean,
or is it now? Is she of an age where she's like, oh, well, just leave me alone,
yeah.
mum?
No, I mean, I think just more generally, treating people that are very close to you is very difficult, isn't it? And um, so she has been to see other people.
Yeah,
I do treat her, yeah, I do, and particularly if there's something that is happening that day or that week or whatever, I'll treat her
yeah. You can
specifically
just
for that.
jump on hands on sort of.
Yeah, and I think more broadly, there's an understanding and a knowledge that I now have that I just wouldn't have had if I weren't doing this for a living.
Yeah.
So I
So
think
just from an advice point of view as well is,
yeah,
you can sort of offer advice without having her having to jump on the,
yeah,
on the treatment table.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Which I think actually is a thing that is of real benefit to people more generally. These sorts of conditions tend to be really misdiagnosed, underdiagnosed, or gaslit, so actually that thing about just spending time with somebody and listening to them and hearing what they're saying and having, quite often I'll refer people on, but I have a network of people that I can refer on to.
yeah.
So, in a way, I can take away the hours of trawling the internet and trying to figure out what to do. That if you're already fatigued and in pain is exhausting, anyway. So,
Is there more of you in your area? As in, is there other therapists offering what you offer, or have you found that it's quite it's hard sort of thing for people to find?
I think it is a hard thing for people to find. Yeah. Um, and actually, when, doing this study, I've been doing it alongside two other people on the course who are doing exactly the same study. So we do exactly the same treatments, the same aftercare. And what that means is we can combine our data. So we have a bigger sample. And so we can it's the start of a conversation about using massage to help people with these connective tissue disorders. So the hope is that actually it will give other massage therapists more confidence Because I certainly think if I go for treatment, I mean, it's terrible, isn't it? Because you always have that, do I say I'm a massage therapist or not? Because
I
it's
always
that
just keep my mouth
kind
shut,
thing
me.
to do to someone,
Yeah.
I know. But if I happen to say, or they know that I'm a massage therapist and I have this connective tissue disorder, you can see this look of like, and then they don't quite want to touch you or are a
Or
bit
they're scared.
tentative.
They're maybe scared they're going to hurt you or yeah.
Exactly. And that's
Does it hurt? Does it hurt from someone obviously that doesn't know what it feels like to, if would you go for a deep tissue massage or would that be too intense? Would that, is it?
I think everybody's different, aren't they? Everybody's body feels different. And the thing that is difficult about it is because in a hypermobile body, your muscles are so tight because it's the ligaments and the tendons that are really lax. So it's the opposite of somebody who isn't hypermobile. So the muscles feel so tight to us as well as to the therapist. So the problem is if somebody who isn't experienced or you haven't met before puts their hands on my traps, they feel like they want to shove their elbows in, and I completely understand why they would want to do that. But my body's really sensitized, so if they do that, everything else goes into overdrive. So I don't think there is a particular sort of modality or style of working with somebody necessarily, but I do think what needs to happen is you need to learn that body and how that body reacts. And so questions around how have you reacted to massage before, and following up with somebody, how did you feel after the treatment? Because also sometimes it's not necessarily about what you feel in your body or pain. These conditions tend to go alongside things like POTS and mast cell activation, dysautonomia. So you can really flare up rashes, dizziness, gastric things, just by that extra input, which is not to say that the technique is wrong, but maybe the speed at which you went in or the force at which you went in at for a first treatment is wrong.
I think it just highlights how important it is to have your own massage therapist that you visit regularly.
Yeah.
Sometimes you book in somewhere and you get a different person each time, but when
Yeah.
you found that one person,
Yeah. Yeah.
that, the first one might be, yeah, that was cool. Then you go again and see the same person, and after 2, 3, 4 sessions, they get to know you, your body, the ins and outs of what you need basically.
Yeah.
And that's why repeat sessions are so important, I think, because obviously you get people that go for a massage and then they won't go for one again for another 6 months,
Yeah.
and then by that point it's someone different.
Yeah.
The person they went to the last time is moved on or not available, and then you just constantly, whereas if you can go every month, for instance, it's got such a benefit
Yeah.
having that connection with that person.
Yeah. And we know, don't we, that the therapeutic alliance is so important in terms of outcomes. And
Yeah.
so having that relationship, like you say, that you get to know each other and you get a kind of shorthand, don't you? So it becomes a very different sort of thing than bobbing off and seeing somebody different every month.
Yeah, and you're more relaxed. You turn up and you can have a quick chat about what you've been up to, and it's like seeing an old friend, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
Do you ever have like any link ups with local medical practices and stuff? Obviously, or do you find that there's still a bit of a sort of, what's the word, a tension between, not tension's not the right word, but
Mm.
there's always in the past been that sort of, your doctors, your medical practitioners sort of don't want to recommend, complementary therapies and stuff because they feel that you're just going for a spa treatment, and whereas
Yeah.
that is changing.
Yeah.
And you can see how that's changing as more studies are coming out, and you've got NHS offering acupuncture, and they're starting to, reflexology is getting a lot more recognition now, sports massage. So with yours being such a specific, niche, have you found that you're getting anyone recommended to you from local doctors or medical practice? Are we not there yet?
It's tricky because my husband is a practice nurse at the local doctor's surgery. And so I've been very careful, we've been very careful to keep that distance. I definitely think it is something to explore. And I think that it is changing. I really do. And the things that some of my clients say to me, you can see it is changing. But we're a long way, I think, from that direct referral. But what there is I have a kind of network of physios and Pilates studio, PT, nutritionists, you know, people that I really confidently can refer talk therapists, other people onto. So while I don't think it's quite there within the health service, but I haven't, like I say, I haven't really tried to forge those links because I'm being a bit careful at the moment, more broadly. And I do think actually when one of the consultants at the hospital, one of my daughter's consultants, said to her, what you need is some really good manual therapy, like an osteopath or a massage therapist. And she was German, she is German. And she said, you know, in Germany, I would be able to refer you on, but I can't do that here.
Yeah, I've heard that in Germany. I've got a friend who's a musician who works out there now as just being a cool rock star. But basically, he was saying to me that like things like reflexology and massage therapy, where he is now, is referred on via like the health service and stuff, you know. And he says it's and it's just he says it's mind blowing because he said everyone just seems relaxed and healthy and you know, so we've got a long way to go with that. But the reason I ask that is because you do see that there's like I keep hearing there's like, you know, certain places in different parts of the country that are trialing, you know, offering things like this instead of or alongside obviously the medication. It's not a substitute, but in the hope and in the long run that it will help bring down costs, you know.
Yeah,
You know,
hugely.
if the NHS, for instance, you know, could send hypermobile clients to you to help, you know, in the long run, that will probably save a fortune in whatever it is, you know, that they do have to do at the minute.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
you know, like you say, it might be a long way off, but I'm sure with the work that we're all doing, we keep chipping away and more studies keep coming out and you know, case studies and how it's helping and hopefully, you know, we won't be too far off working alongside these practices and sort of working with them rather than it seeming like an against. You know, you often get clients that come and go, I'm coming to see you because I'm getting no joy and no luck from me, you know, my doctor. He's giving me all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. I'm just gonna have to do this as well. And then, you know, it's an added cost and
Yeah.
stuff. So if we could all sort of work together as one big happy family, you know, that would be amazing. But obviously we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I was just interested with your line of work being specific and you've got specific clients that come to see you. I'm sure many of them probably go back when they next go to pick up the prescription or the next doctor's visit and they probably say to their doctor, don't they, oh, I've been having these sessions and I feel much better. So it just makes you wonder, doesn't it, how many times people will say that and when you know the light bulb moment
Yeah.
happens, people think, maybe I should start recommending that a bit more.
Well, and particularly, you know, something like all the connective tissue disorders, you hear these stories where it's a real battle to be diagnosed. Like it takes on average about 10 years to get to the point of diagnosis. It's really difficult. And then people are diagnosed and then told that there's nothing that can be done. And, you know, what that does to you as a person is huge, isn't it? So I think these pathways coming out of diagnosis are really important. And it doesn't have to be, yes, okay, maybe there's nothing that we can do to take away the problem with the connective tissue. But how we help people to live their lives is really important. So the pathways out of those diagnoses and the idea that there are people out there who understand what is going on and can walk alongside you, really, you know, I am in no way saying that I can fix anything or take anything away, but what I can do is walk alongside you
Yeah, and just help, I think
cheerlead
is
you and be with
yeah.
you, you know, and I think that is important. And I think we think about fixing things all the time, and some things can't be fixed, and it's important to accept that, but learn how to live with it, I think.
I think that's the key thing is in this role that we do is that you can't say that you're going to cure this ailment, you
No.
know, and how you might, however strongly you might feel that it's going to help you, you know, you can't ultimately prevent it, you know, completely, but you can help
Yeah.
and minimize the symptoms maybe, and how that, you know, the pain that they may be feeling, which is ultimately, you know, what we do. So yeah, I mean, that's fantastic. But how do you, I mean, you're saying all these things you're doing and, you know, as well as obviously being a mother, caring for your child, and then going through this yourself, is it manageable? Can you work? Like,
Well, I am.
does it hurt to work? You know, I mean, obviously, you know, even I'm, you know, I'm aching after after doing 3 or 4 clients in a day, you know, having 60 or 90 minute sessions, and
Mm.
you know, I'm
Yeah.
technically, I think, fit and healthy. You know, 35 years old. I shouldn't be complaining after 4 hours of massage, but you know, I'm like feeling like an old man. So I don't know how you do it.
Do you know, I think that in a way it's a sort of gift, because had I not been doing this, I would not understand my body in the way that I do. I would not listen to it in the way that I do. And um, I think the movement of doing the treatments is really important for my body. I am lucky because I have a baseline of movement that is quite high, and I have always been pretty active, and that is, I I do not take that for granted. Like, I'm very, very lucky. Um, I do have to listen to my body, and I certainly at home I see 4 people in a day. I won't see any more people than that. I'm careful about the hours in which I work. Um, I just last week I dislocated my knee, which came completely out of nowhere. Um, and it resolved itself, and there's a bit of a knock on in the rest of my body, but I know that, I recognize that, and I have the flexibility to be able to work around that. So I think actually if I was sat at a desk 9 to 5 5 days a week, I'd be in a lot worse shape than I am now,
Yeah,
in
so
all
it's
honesty.
almost which is brilliant is that the job is helping you as well, I guess, the movement, the sort of the way you, it's probably sculpted your sort of your own personal touch, and how you you know, apply your pressure and
Yeah.
work with your clients, because it's probably moves and stuff that feel good for you as well from a stretch point of view.
Yeah, and I mean that, one of the things about being hypermobile is your proprioception's terrible. So um, my sense of where my body is in space is not great. But as part of the training at Jing, they are really hot on your body mechanics, and will come round. I mean, I remember Meg coming and picking me up and moving me because I just could not work out where I was.
Yeah.
Um, so that there was this kind of constant not drilling, but watching you and making sure you're okay. And we know that therapists burn out. I can't remember what the statistic is, but it's after a couple of years, isn't it? People's risks go, and that is because you're not looking after yourself,
Yeah.
and you're not thinking about what you need in terms of your body. Um, and so that was one of the wonderful things that came out of my training, was that I learned some of the positions that I absolutely cannot do. Um, and I learned the positions. I have some positions that I can't do because my shoulder will subluxate, or um, bits and bobs like that. But I know so much more about where I need to put my body in space, because I have to, because otherwise I won't be able to work.
Yeah. And I think once that clicks, it's like it opens up a whole new sort of door, doesn't it? I mean, I remember doing some no hands training.
Mm.
I don't even think it's called that anymore. I've not been, I think it's changed hands now. No pun intended. But and just learning how to use my body weight
Yeah.
and squatting more, which killed my legs at the time, but so I wasn't leaning over and there was no strain on my back. Feel like I could go for go for hours nowadays. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, 4 sessions, right? Come on, give me a few more, you know, or like almost because it's just your body weight that you're applying the pressure with rather than no strain in your back and your wrists. And
Yeah.
um, yeah, it was mind blowing actually because it's so easy to just like without realizing, notice that you've just been sat hunched over for in the same position for a long period of time. And then
Yeah.
you're wondering why your back's absolutely killing you at the end of the day. And once that goes, it's, game over, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
So, in this game anyway.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Um, and do you go for regular sessions yourself? I
No.
know. I've been thinking that I'm thinking, right, I've got a few days off next week. I'm gonna get myself booked in, but something always comes up when you're the one that does it yourself.
I know.
Um,
I'll tell you what I do. I do tend to, if I'm going to have a treatment, I tend to have a slightly different, like I'll go for some reflexology or some
yeah,
bowing, or, I don't often go for a massage, partly because because of the problems of having EDS and it going wrong. I've had enough bad massages that, well, no, that's not fair. Massages that are probably
not
perfectly
tailored
good,
to
but
your
not
needs,
tailored to my
basically. Yeah,
needs, that then I end up being out of it for a couple of days, and I can't risk that. So I don't tend to go for massage, but I do prioritize. No, I don't prioritize. I do regularly enough go and have something that is doing something for my nervous system.
yeah, yeah. I keep trying to say, I keep going right. I've looked at the finance. Right, every month I'm just going to book something in,
Mm,
but then something comes up and blah blah blah. Um, but yeah, that is my thing. I need to. Yeah, every month, everyone listening to this is probably thinking exactly the same.
yeah.
But I find when you throw like, I've got a 5-month-old and a 2-year-old, and then I'm thinking, guiltily thinking, oh well, if I've got that time off, I can't really be going and booking myself in
No.
for a massage, which is the wrong way to think of it because obviously anything to be able to help
Yeah.
keep you fit and healthy and going is obviously going to benefit everyone around you as well as you just
Yeah.
yourself. So, but yeah, I'm just giving myself reassurance now to get myself booked in for next week.
Yeah, quite right. But it's
Yeah,
funny, isn't it? Because I think like I will find the time to do exercise because I think that is important for my body. That's really important, but of course for everybody. So I will carve out that time. And I don't think going for a massage should be any different, really.
yeah,
It's a different approach, of course it is, but it is super important. But for some reason, it feels like a luxury, and rather than it being your well-being or healthcare.
yeah. Well, I tend to go now when I do go, I tend to go during my working day and I book that time out during my
Mm,
working day. And I guess that is the joy of working for yourself in that respect because it's kind of, I see it as a work thing, really.
yeah, yeah,
I just need my accountant to understand that now. But
yeah,
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 he's like, you can't put that on you. I'm like, but it's research, and
yeah,
but no,
yeah.
but yeah, I'll keep chipping away. Surely it's yeah, I'll keep trying on that one. But um, Jess, it's been fantastic chatting to you, and felt like there's probably a lot of people that will be listening to this that might find themselves in a similar situation to you, whether it be maybe not got exactly the same condition, as you've had or
Mm,
have, but something where they're in a similar position where they're trying to juggle the whole work, health, family,
mm,
and everything else around it. And hopefully, hearing what you've had to say today will really inspire people to sort of realize that it can be done. Um, and you just keep on keeping on, as they say.
absolutely, yeah.
So Jess, do I have this right? Your website is easetherapies.co.uk
That's right,
and
yeah.
your Instagram is ease.therapies.
That's it.
So anyone that might have any questions, they can leave them on the comments on the YouTube as well. And we will fire them over to you if there's any specific ones
That's
for
great.
yourself. And whilst of mentioning that, we have let everyone know there is a competition at the minute to like, comment, subscribe, and win yourself a cotton couch cover. So if you do have any questions for Jess, get them on the YouTube, get them on wherever else you're listening to this, on the Facebook, on the socials, and you might actually win a little something as well. So awesome. Right. That's the sales pitch. Okay. Jess, it's been fantastic. I'm glad we managed to get this together, and we managed to get Zoom woken up on a early morning. So brilliant. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much. I've really enjoyed it. Thanks, Chris.
The Massage and Physical Therapists podcast is brought to you by Massage Warehouse, your one-stop shop for quality massage supplies. Massage Warehouse was founded by therapists for therapists over 20 years ago. We put people before profit and only sell quality massage supplies we use ourselves. I'm not going to try selling you anything here, but I would like to tell you we are the only retailer who gives back to the therapist community. We host a private community group of over 4,700 therapists where they have great discussions every day. We sponsor massage events around the country, publish a weekly newsletter with up-to-date industry news, and of course, we host and produce this fantastic podcast along with our amazing host Chris and his co-hosts Claire, Kate, Anna Maria, Amy, and renowned guests. Creating this podcast takes a great deal of dedication and effort. With growing competition from soulless overseas Amazon sellers and non-specialist retailers, your support means more than ever. We'd be incredibly grateful if you keep Massage Warehouse in mind when you next need a massage table, oils, or any other supplies. Every purchase you make helps us give back to the therapist community through education, events, support, and this very podcast. And hey, if you know other therapists who might not have heard of us yet, we'd really appreciate you spreading the word. Your support means everything. We truly couldn't do this without you. So thank you. Until next time.